Welcome home, fam. This is the Diginachi sequence. I'm Will Carr. This is my co-host, XRPsean.
Hey, what's up, Will?
Loving life, man. We're going to talk about our interview with John Deaton today that we did at XRP Las Vegas. Really excited to get into this one. Let's hit it. Another lovely day, man.
Yeah, I'm still wearing my softball jersey.
Yeah, we had a good game tonight, 4-0.
It was a defensive masterpiece. We crushed it.
Our pitcher had 4 strikeouts.
Shout out to David. We got queued up the John Deaton interview. I'm just going to share this, and I think we might hit stop a few times and chat about it. Here we go.
All right, Will Carr here, XRP Las Vegas. Here with the infamous John Deaton.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, before we get into some more detailed things, I'd just like to hear, what do you think of the show so far?
No, I think it's great. I think ultimately Brad Garlinghouse got on stage and compared it to the Bitcoin conference. And so I think this is a permanent thing for XRP and the XRP conference. And I think we live in a multi-coin world. And so Bitcoin shouldn't be the only one to have its conference.
Absolutely. Brad really brought the house down today. He brought good energy.
He always does. I mean, like I know he took issue jokingly that I called him the best CEO in crypto, right?
Yeah, that's good.
But he is, for sure.
Yeah.
Look what he's accomplished.
Absolutely. Well, John, can you tell us a little bit, like, what's happening in the regulatory space right now? What's new?
Well, I think that this is the best time that you could imagine to be bullish. We would have never envisioned that the President of the United States would tweet with XRP. It really is the sky's the limit. Sometimes I have to check myself to think that maybe I'm too bullish, right? Because it seems that everything's going so well. You know, price appreciation, it'll come. I think that today is a better, I won't say better because the price is higher, but it's a smarter, safer bet than it was 5 years ago. So if you're invested in Bitcoin or XRP or any of the other tokens, I think today there's a stronger case to do it than there was, 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Absolutely. With that said, like, what do you think makes a good, like, when you're looking for a good project, we talk about Bitcoin, XRP, those kind of ones that get mentioned here, but what to you makes a good project? Like, when you're looking for something to invest in, like, what's the parameters?
Is it solving a problem? That's the real question. People call it utility, but is it solving a problem? And so one of the reasons I liked Spin the Bits early, because it was solving a problem. Spend your Bitcoin. Bitcoin's too slow. You couldn't buy coffee with it. So Jay Campbell, did the XRP ledger. Now he uses Flare to allow someone to spin Bitcoin, XRP, or anything else, switch it over to stable coins, and you could do all that in a decentralized wallet that's non-custodial. Things like that are exciting because that's where we're headed. We're headed to a future where I think banks are becoming more and more obsolete.
Yeah, and and to that, not only are banks becoming obsolete, but what do you think, what will be the need for banks? Like, how will they exist? What are banks going to look like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? And what's going to be the ramifications for small banks?
Yeah, I think that the small banks that don't move forward are going to go away, and we're going to be left with the 5, 6 major banks. But there's a reason that you see Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and all of them talking about their own stable coin. There's a reason why banks are now talking about custody. You have brokerage firms like Charles Schwab, obviously BlackRock, but Charles Schwab coming out saying that they're going to offer custody services and crypto trading in their more traditional finance brokerage account. And so the banks have a challenging issue, and that's why they're fighting so hard to not allow even ETFs for staking. The Genius Act, which is the stablecoin bill, doesn't allow for you or I to get interest from the issuer, right? And so that's sort of the last bastion, because once you allow staking and interest. If you get I can get 4 or 5, 9% on our XRP or our Bitcoin or whatever through staking services. Are you really going to go to the bank for 1% or 1.5%? I don't think so. And so I think that's why they're fighting hard. But, you know, I think most of them are going to try to adopt the technology.
What do you think it's going to take for Congress and legislative to allow us retail to be able to participate?
We need leaders who are willing to go against the bank lobby, to be honest with you. But I think ultimately we're going to get there. We're probably not there 2 years from now, but 5 years from now, I think you're going to see consumer have a lot more access to the products that we're being denied right now.
You know, I think one thing that's really interesting, John Deaton talking about here, is through the Genius and the Clarity Act, they're still trying to prevent the small guy like you and I from being able to make significant passive income off of our blockchain technology, off of the distributed ledger technology tokens that we own. It's going to be really interesting how all that ultimately ends up playing out. And I'm just grateful that we have a guy like John Deaton who understands the legality of things well enough to really bring it to the community and explain it to us in a way that's easy for everyone to understand.
Well, he was there to go to bat for the XRP community. He had the lawsuit with over 75,000 holders. He's been there since the beginning, kind of looking out for everybody. And we still have players like Senator Warren who caters to the banks. I mean, she sent an email to Gary Gensler with the questions and the answers. Is this okay? What do you mean?
Can
is
I
this
ask
okay?
you this question?
Are you okay with these answers I'm giving you? So that's who we went to bat against, and that's against the big banks. With today's news, with BNY Mellon coming to bat, I mean, that's huge. They have $43 trillion in assets. If that doesn't tell you what the writing on the wall is, I can't help you.
One other thing I thought was really interesting, you know, that he talks about here is what's going to happen to the small banks if they don't get on board. You know, if the small banks don't get up to speed with blockchain and the revolution that's happening in the financial industry, small banks are going to go away. You know, and I think he says it very nicely. He just tries to say they're going to struggle. I think that's what he says. But what that really means is small banks are going to disappear if they don't get on board with this, because they're not going to custody anyone's money or anything for that matter at this point. No one's going to go to a small bank. The small banks aren't going to be able to compete when it comes to mortgage lending, when it comes to holding on to people's money for their bank accounts. When you're going to be able to go to an institution that allows and has implemented blockchain and know that any typical savings account, any typical checking account is going to earn you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% yield. No one's going to keep their money in a standard bank situation. It just is not going to make sense.
The small banks and really all the banks are going to have to change their tune as far as what they can offer. The whole custody game is going to be up for grabs, and they're going to be there to say, hey, we're still banks. We're still holding on to your assets, and we'll give you X amount of percent back on whatever you leave with us. All these entities like Uphold, you hold RLUSD, and they're giving you, what is it, 4.5% back or 4% back for the money you have in Uphold?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. But the options are about to be hopefully in our favor. We know that there's still old dogs in the game and they got to get out. And that's exactly what this whole revolution is for, to push those old bleeps out of here. Let's keep, let's see what else you got. We got another
what else
5
he has to say.
Yeah. Speaking of leaders, do you see yourself running again?
If there's a path to victory, yes.
Okay.
You know, I just want, you know, I'm a competitive guy, right?
Man, I get it, man.
I don't want, you know, I don't want to lose twice.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee, but if there's a real path to win against Elizabeth Warren, it was very late. It was 8 months before the election. No one was stepping up. I knew the odds were slim, but so I said, I'm going to do it. Now, if I run again, I just want to make sure that I can win. And a poll recently showed that I could beat the other senator. He's 80 years old.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about it, but we'll see.
I think you may not have won the last one, but I think what you did, you know, it was so much bigger than just Massachusetts. Like, you opened people's eyes all across the country and brought so much attention to the crypto space specifically, and how the legislative can have an effect there. And so I just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Another question. I felt like you gave such a level-headed approach to, obviously there was some news that came out with Link2 this morning, and you gave a great, I felt, leading into that, you know, to set everyone's expectations and really just make sure everyone was respectful and receptive. Right. And so I'm just wondering if you could just kind of speak to that situation a little.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of reasons, and a lot of people have been burned in crypto. When you have the FTXs, the Voyagers, the BlockFis, the Celsius, 3AC, I mean, we could just go on, right? Yeah. A lot of people have been burned in crypto and other industries, but certainly in crypto recently. And so most investors in Link2, they just want to know that their money's safe, right? They want to know that they weren't scammed, that it's not a rug pull, and that they're safe. And so the CEO of Link2, you know, he came in, and there's regulatory issues, and a lot of lawyers get in your head and say, be careful what you say. And so I was more of like, just tell them their money's safe. It's safe. And he said they're safe. And so, but there's a reason that people are angry or upset. But I think most of them feel at least more comfortable that, you know, if they own Circle shares, Circle goes IPO next week, those shares will show up, right? If they own it. If Ripple decides to go public, then they'll get their Ripple shares accordingly. And so, and be able to participate in the upside. And so that's really was the goal of that.
They just filed for bankruptcy.
Yep.
Link2.
It's very, very timely for us to, you know, when we first interviewed John Deaton about this at XRP Las Vegas, the news had just broke the night before that there was some shady stuff going on with Link2, and then the CEO of Link2 had to come out and talk, and John gave a great intro and tried to keep everyone calm and say, hey, let's give this guy a chance to talk. And here we are playing this interview now where, yeah, now Link2's filed for bankruptcy. What was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? John's already announced that he's filing a class action lawsuit for all the people that were on the Link2 platform that had invested. And I mean, I think that just goes back to show just how much of a class act John Deaton is and how his motives are really just to help people. You know, it's very unfortunate the way this is all unfolded with Link2, but thankfully we have someone like John Deaton. He had money on the platform. A lot of people did. I know neither you or I did, thank goodness. It's obviously an issue here in the crypto space, people that wanted to invest in these early crypto companies and be able to get in on the ground floor before they IPO'd.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think you start talking about his book here in a second, but let's keep rolling.
I loved your book, Food Stamp Warrior, man.
Thanks, man.
You know, because everybody's born into different life situations, and I feel like you just mentioned you're a competitor, and so I feel that from you, you know, from your book. You know, you had a lot to come up from, and oftentimes you see that people that have a lot to come up from are the ones that really come up a lot, and it's because of that competitive nature that you learn to have. And so, yeah, man, I just want to recognize you and thank you so much.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you reading the book.
Yeah, man, it was great. Last question. You seem like a guy, you're a very smart businessman. You've done a lot of different things. Obviously, you're famous for your legal work and in crypto. I'm just curious, what projects are you working on right now that the crypto community or anybody listening might, you know, if you feel so inclined to share, what are some things you're working on?
Well, I'm still involved with Spin the Bits with Jay, and on the last thing today in XRP Vegas, I've been working with. I downloaded these algos from Arch Public that people have seen to see if that excites me. If it pans out, and what I've done is I haven't been paid for it or anything. I just said I'm going to do this because I think that could be the future, where regular people have tools that they've been denied historically. And if you can, you know, use artificial intelligence and algorithmic, you know, kind of software to trade for you, and you don't have to be at the computer. Like, I'm getting trade confirmations at 2 a.m. because XRP dipped 4.5%, right? Okay. And it's stuff like that. That kind of excites me because that would give regular people, retail, kind of technology that usually the hedge funds have.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be sharing all those trades just to see if it works. And so I'm going to talk about that at the end of the conference.
Okay, and you said that's available to retail now?
Yeah, there's a free product. I downloaded it, archpublic.com, and it's an algo, and you're allowed to trade up to $10,000, per year. But what I tell people, I'm not selling anything to them. I'm just sharing with you. I found this.
Right.
I downloaded it, and I'm experimenting. I'm going to publish all the trades, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, you'll be able to see that it doesn't by my trial and error, right? So something I'm excited about.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Just kind of wrap up. Anything else you'd like to share about the conference? Anything about the XRP community in general?
XRP community is amazing. I've said it. The Bitcoin people get mad at me because I say I will put the XRP community up against any crypto community in the world, bar none. I think they're intelligent. They're passionate. So I think it's great. I think when Brad Garlinghouse gets on stage and basically says that this conference is on par with the Bitcoin conference, then I think it's a lot to be optimistic about. So,
Definitely.
and they should congratulate themselves if they held from a long time ago and been through hell and back. Regulatory hell, I call it. Absolutely. Right. So they deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah. Last thing, what are the chances you, me, and Brad Garlinghouse could get some 3-on-3 games going?
I don't know. Brad looks like I probably would be, 10 years ago, I might have gave you a little run for the money. I'm not saying I'd have won, but I'd have given you a little run for the money, right? Yeah. Problem for me is I'm a 6'1" post-up player. Okay. I don't know if I'd have such success posting you up though, but right, maybe I had to take you out on the outside and try to get around you. But you look like you're pretty good.
Yeah, man, I play. It's fun. I enjoy it.
I'd like to, though. Let's do it sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks, brother.
John, thanks a lot, man.
It's an honor, brother. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
The honor's mine.
Thank you.
Sounds like I've got a open ticket to play basketball with John Deaton.
Oh, man. Boys from the hood, better get ready.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to do everything I can to hold him to that.
It looks like he would get a little scrappy, throw an elbow or two.
I've
scared.
taken some elbows.
Yeah, well, you have to. Our elbows reach your belly button, so. Well, thank John Deaton for doing what he does, man. He's I met him last year just on the staircase, and we chatted for a few minutes, and there's nobody else around, and he's a very genuine individual, not afraid to talk to anybody, not afraid to stand up to big bank, Senator Warren. He's not afraid, and he's going to bat for us, and I couldn't be happier that he's one of the representatives of the XRP community and the family.
Yeah.
We're going to keep rolling through these interviews. We kind of just want to be able to show you guys what happened at XRP Las Vegas. It just feels like a family when we're there, so it's really cool to be a part of the interviews and to be on my side of the camera. Unfortunately, it moved around quite a bit because I was dodging bullets back there. I even had other people kind of helping me out, waving people down before they walked in front of the camera, but that's part of the game. So it's always worth a laugh. But we're going to move on to our next interview, so we'll close this one out. I'm XRP Sean.
I'm Carr Speaks.
We'll see you guys next time.